Alright, all you glorious gamers out there, welcome to the PlayerStoo Podcast, the video game podcast for gamers like you, by gamers like you. You can find PlayerStoo on all the social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayerStoo.com, that's PlayerStoo.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcast, we really appreciate that. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show, and thank you so much to anyone that's already done that. If you're thinking you'll do this at the end of the episode, just pause now. Just go and do it now. It's all good. We'll be here when you come back. Pregnant pause. Put a pregnant pause on there. Alright, on with the show. My name is Mark Henderson. With me, as always, Mr. Lewis Camley. How's it going, Lewis?
It's going not bad at all, Mark. I have more or less clambered out of the terrible flu that I had last week. You could have fooled me with that cough when you came in here. Yeah, I am still coughing now and then, dear listeners, so bear with me, and you're still getting my very sexy, gravelly voice because, yeah, I have been totally floored by the flu all of this week. I missed all of work last week, so I had a lot of time for gaming. How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. Not floored with the flu. However, it has been a miserable day today here, and I got soaked walking to and from work, which was very sad. Good old Scotland day. But what brightened my day was finishing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Lewis.
Very nice.
I don't have too much else to say on it, to be honest with you. I think that my criticisms of it probably held true throughout. Right. I mean, again, it was more of the Metroid elements of the game that I never thought were done as well as they could have been. I thought that a lot of the things that you unlocked when you got new powers, like different areas that you could go to, a lot of them were either just shortcuts to areas that you'd already previously been to, or were for like naff rewards that I basically didn't care about, and it was rarely required within the story. In fact, I think there was only 2 instances that I can think of off the top of my head where you had to go to a planet, leave a planet, get a new power, then go back to that planet.
Right, well.
So I'm perfectly willing to be proven wrong there, but I think in my playthrough, there's certainly only 2 that stand out to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not tons given
yeah,
you don't remember.
It's not tons. So. It's definitely not tons. However, the story, the narrative, great. If anything, it got better.
Yeah.
Actually, from when we last spoke. However, I did see the spoiler, which was in a trailer for the game itself, which was just insane. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm not going to spoil anything, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to say what the spoiler is. However, I did get spoiled, which I think probably deflated what would have been quite a cool moment, totally honestly.
Yeah, because I keep hearing that's one of the big things people are saying.
So you don't know this spoiler?
I don't know what happens at the end. I barely know anything about the story, but I do know, that basically EA put out like a Thanksgiving trailer for the game that seemed to spoil it. It sounds like it's not the absolute last thing, but like a big moment at the end of the game kind of thing.
It's a big moment. We'll just say it's a big moment and we'll just leave it there. You know how hilariously I was spoiled for this, right? Obviously, I never saw the Thanksgiving trailer, being not American. However, I looked up a walkthrough video for one puzzle that I couldn't figure out. And the YouTube trailer that they made me watch before it was that spoilery trailer.
That's terrible.
I was so annoyed.
I don't blame you, man. That's rough.
And do you know the thing is that see when it happened, see when I saw the trailer, see when I saw the spoiler, I was like, shit, that's the spoiler. To be honest with you, it was actually towards the end of the game as well. Yeah. So I wasn't that far away from probably seeing it myself. To say that was annoying would be quite an understatement if I'm totally honest with you. However, the story in itself overall is actually very, very good. I actually think it's one of the better Star Wars stories that have been told since Disney got involved.
Good.
However, I do think Cal remains one of the least interesting people in the story, and I think one of the most interesting people actually arrived very late on in the story. So you didn't really get to see a lot of this character. Again, I don't want to say too much here. We're kind of venturing into spoiler territory here. The last thing that I just wanted to mention was the difficulty. I was playing on what was normal, effectively. I found that was like just right. It was challenging. I must admit, when I got to grips with the combat and I got to grips with what you were supposed to be doing, again, it's a lot more parrying than it is dodging. When you realise that the game actually wants you to do these parries, then things start going a lot more smoothly for you, basically. I didn't die very much after that. So when I got to grips with the combat, I've actually very rarely died, after dying fairly frequently in the beginning, actually.
Yeah.
There was only a couple of instances where I did. However, I realised that a lot of people might be looking for a lot more Souls-like experience from the game. What I will say is that after I'd completed the game, I bumped it up just to see what it was like. It is noticeably more difficult.
Right, okay,
so
cool.
if you do want that experience from the game, if you do want a more Souls-like experience from the game, it is 100% there for you because there's another difficulty on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it is definitely there for you.
And is that just achieved by like shortening the parry windows and that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't just overpower the enemies.
Yeah, so there was 3 bars. I'm not sure if it overpowers the enemies. The enemies are pretty powerful. Like if you get hit, you know about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think they get more aggressive was one of them. Again, the parry window is shorter, and maybe they do a bit more damage. I can't really remember what it was, but there's 3 bars, and they do show you how changing the difficulty affects these 3 parameters in the game, and it is noticeably more difficult. Definitely noticeably more difficult.
How many hours?
For me, I think it was slightly over 20. Definitely between 20 and 25. I know that we were talking about this the other day because you thought that I finished it very quickly, but in actual fact, the game just isn't all that long, to be completely honest with you. But for me, totally worth it, like 100% worth the money. The story that's been told is really, really good. The combat is great. The just kind of moment-to-moment gameplay I really enjoyed. The traversal is great. One complaint that I do have about the game, and I did mention it in our previous episode, but see that map, oh my god. At the time, I was basically just discovering new places, and it basically wasn't very clear. But see if at any point you are going back to a planet and you do want to get to some point on the map, see trying to navigate from your position to where that point is near impossible. I was going back to get a trophy, which I very rarely do, and I was just like, I don't need this, why am I doing this? And I was so frustrated at trying to find this area or how to get back to this area that I basically nearly gave up, because on the map every direction it looked as if I could come from was blocked by something, and basically it turned out that I had to circumnavigate the whole map just about to get to the area that I wanted to get to. And there's no fast travel in this game as well. Getting back to the ship normally isn't that big of a problem because you do unlock shortcuts on the way back, and it is usually made relatively easy for you to get back to the ship. But see, in a game, if you're not making fast travel an option to the player, God, you need to get your map better than it is. Like, it has to be better than that. It really is really, really difficult to work with. Like, really detrimental, actually. It's really bad. But I know that we laughed about the control map, and in actual fact, I think this game has a lot of parallels to Control.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it is so much worse than that.
Is it worse than that map?
I would say that it's worse than that. At least I kind of knew where I was going all the time, but due to the nature of this game and the way that you traverse the spaces as opposed to Control, which is basically you just walk around. You can know where you're going. If there's a staircase there, you know it goes up to this level and then you come across here. Even that is quite difficult to tell on this map.
Wow.
I found it really difficult to work with. Maybe that's just me, but that was my experience with it.
Well, you're pretty experienced with game maps, though. I mean, the problem with that Control map half the time is that it just doesn't turn up at all when you click.
Well, that was a problem. Yeah, the technical issues. I have to say, as the game went on, I was kind of noticing more and more kind of wee technical things here and there, and just wee dumb things that were happening within the physics of the game. And I think that this game just lacked a kind of veneer polish that I bet Respawn wanted that Disney wouldn't allow them. Because this game had to come out in the window that it was given. It could not interfere with the release of the next movie in any way. So it was coming out when it came out, and that was the end of it. You know what I mean? No arguments. So I don't blame the developer too much from this, because I'm sure that the pressure to get this game out was immense.
Oh, totally.
But I think it definitely does lack a bit of polish that I would personally have expected from Respawn.
Yeah, but maybe a big patch down the line might tidy up some of that for players who haven't picked it up yet, which is good. So
yeah.
If those are the biggest issues, that still, I mean, it sounds to me like you had an absolutely brilliant time with it. So
I mean, it was again. Yeah. I feel as if everything that I've said about the game has been so negative on this podcast. I actually really liked it. It was very, very good. The combat was excellent, like really good, and again, the moment-to-moment gameplay, by and large, was fantastic. But there are some things that, I mean, like, I felt totally hamstrung by that map in that moment. I just could not work out where we're supposed to be going, and that just pisses you off more than anything. You know what I mean? And it totally removes you from the experience.
It does
as well.
totally.
It's really not good. Anyway, Lewis, because I finished that, I've now got Death Stranding.
Woo!
There you go. However, I'm only about 3 hours in. I'm only on chapter 2. I do have some thoughts on this. However, I will reserve saying those thoughts just now, because I basically want to be a bit more informed about the game. I want to be a bit more used to what the game is.
Okay.
Which is, I'm not sure is something I've ever said about a game before, but I feel as if it might be something I have to get used to.
Totally. Okay.
Also, we have a totally loaded show, and I'm not sure if we have time for it right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm looking forward to your impressions. I'll get some instinctive stuff off you off air at least, but yeah, that's all I've been playing as well. As I say, I was off work all last week, so I had a lot of time to sit and play Death Stranding, and yeah, my God. So I'm in chapter 8 now. I think I'm very close to the end of the story.
Okay. I'm not. Do you know how many chapters there are?
I'm not. I think there's maybe like 10 or 11, but I know that they're not all of equal length. So like chapter 3, which you heard us before say that you get to chapter 3 quite quickly because that's when the game really starts to open up. That chapter is enormous. There's a lot to do in that chapter, but then chapter 4 is essentially just like a boss battle, so it doesn't distill too neatly into like chapter 8 means you're 8/10 of the way through the game kind of thing. But I can tell from what's happening that we're getting close to the final.
It's building to that crescendo moment.
The objective that you've had from the start of the game basically is now more or less in sight. So I am absolutely loving it. The game is, see, when people say to you the game has no action, I was actually listening to our Game Awards predictions, and you made a joke at that point about it having no action, and I agreed at the time, and it's just not really that game at all when you get much further into it. There is a lot of action, there is a lot of combat if you want it. It just absolutely depends what kind of gameplay experience you want from it. Some of the environments and the settings that you get to later on are so hostile, and not just from BTs or mules or whatever. It's just like being in that environment is hostile. You're thinking about things in a way that I've never really had to do in games. You're thinking about your loadouts, you're thinking about your directions, what going over this ridge means versus going over that ridge, and what you might encounter and what stuff you might need for that. And then the story is mental. And some of the writing actually is, I would go as far as to say, is poor. Because I think we forgive Kojima and the people around Kojima quite a lot. Obviously, it's madcap stuff, completely crazy, zany ideas. And that's all interesting enough, and I'm fine with that. But the actual, like you were saying, like moment by moment writing in this game where people just repeat stuff at you endlessly, like it can get a bit tedious. So there are moments like that it starts to drag. But just see when you're saddled up, see when you've got that backpack on and you're just heading off and you're like, I'm going over there. Don't know how I'm going to get there yet. I'm going to have to build a bunch of stuff before I can get there. I'm so entertained by it. So yeah, I think we'll talk about it more fully when we've both finished it, or at least like when I've finished it, I'll give some more thoughts.
Well, I want to talk more about it next week, basically, but I won't have finished it by then.
Well, you never know the way you're consuming games right now.
I absolutely will not. I absolutely will not have finished it by that point. But we'll talk about it more next week, because now it's time for the news. All right, and news item number 1. Campo Santo, Lewis. Their game in the Valley of the Gods has in fact been shelved. The game was initially announced back in 2017 before the studio was bought by Valve in 2018. And it looked to be a first-person adventure game set in Egypt, much in the style of Firewatch, which was the studio's previous game and was awesome. If any of you have never played that, I would definitely go and seek it out. And the shelving of the game has come after Campo Santo developers had removed any mention of In the Valley of the Gods from their Twitter bios, and I'm sure they removed it from their website as well, which I think at that point the writing was kind of on the wall, to be honest with you. And it was also confirmed by multiple Campo Santo developers that they had moved on to working on Half-Life Alyx as well, which is kind of how this all started. It started being rumoured, certainly, that the game might be in danger, to say the least. And in fact, this week, the Campo Santo co-founder, Jake Rodkin, made this statement.
To fans looking forward to In the Valley of Gods, it's probably clear that the optimistic 2019 at the end of the announcement trailer isn't going to be accurate. In the end, Valve Time makes fools of us all. But yes, developers from the former Campo Santo team have joined other projects at Valve, including Half-Life Alyx. As you can imagine, our experiences in the first-person adventure genre is pretty relevant. You hear a lot about how at Valve you can work on what you want. It turns out that's true, and there's a lot of work available. As we integrated ourselves into Valve, it became clear that there was a lot of valuable work to be done on Half-Life Alyx. Some of us started lending a hand and have since become full-time on the project as it approaches launch. Similarly, some ex-Campos are working on Dota Underlords, some are on Steam, and so on. So to answer your question, as of today, In the Valley of Gods development is on hold, but it certainly feels like a project people can and may return to. And when that happens, we'll find an exciting way to let fans know.
So not out and out cancelled, but, I mean,
it feels very unlikely that can be resuscitated to me.
It really does. It also doesn't feel like a game that Valve usually makes.
No.
I very much hope that it does come back around at some point, because I was actually really excited about it. I really, really loved Firewatch. And yeah, it would be sad to see it go just completely unrealised. In fact, one of the one of the writers for the video game, Duncan Fife, I think his last name Fyfe, had like an amazing Twitter thread about all the work that he'd done on it. It was really heartbreaking.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Shout out to Tom on Twitter, who actually pointed me in the direction of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really quite a heartbreaking read. He was talking about like all this research they'd done into it, how excited he was about the project, and I was just thinking, I bet there is loads of people at Campo Santo like that.
Yeah,
that are just like, well, this is the reason why I was there. I've done all this research, and now it's gone.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think that's
or
the thing.
At the very least, it's indefinitely on the shelf.
Yeah, because he was saying that he hasn't been reassigned anywhere. He was writing for that game, and
exactly,
and he can't just be dragged elsewhere.
That.
So
yeah.
I thought there would be a lot more of a kind of shoulder shrug from gamers about this because people really want Half-Life. But yeah, like as we saw, even on our own social media channels, and thanks to everyone who was commenting on that story, people really wanted to see this game. People were excited for it. Like you were saying, people loved Firewatch. So
I must admit, Lewis, I was exactly the same. I thought that we were going to kind of post about that and it was going to be a bit like meh. Mm-hmm. But yeah, people were getting in touch and being like, oh yeah, I was really looking forward to this. And I was thinking, I'm surprised anyone even remembered about this game. Like,
it's barely been spoken about since it was announced.
It's barely been spoken about. I never knew Firewatch was obviously as popular as it was, but yeah, it was great. It was a really great game, and yeah, it would have been really good to see this fully realised. I really, really hope that it does come back around at Valve and those guys do get to finish working on it, because it does sound as if a lot of people's hard work's already went into it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how likely that is, to be completely honest. All right, news item number 2. 2K has revealed a new studio dedicated to working on a new BioShock game, Lewis.
It is.
A new BioShock game. The studio is called Cloud Chamber and will be headed by Kelly Gilmore, who previously worked on games such as XCOM and I think the Civ games as well. However, 2K has also come out and said that the game itself will be several years away, which, I mean, if you're launching a new studio to start working on a game, you would expect that. Over at Kotaku, Jason Schreier, however, said that BioShock 4, which is codenamed Parkside, has in fact existed since 2015. The game was originally outsourced to a studio called Certain Affinity, who had previously worked on Call of Duty and Halo as a support studio. However, the project that they were working on seems to have been canned by the end of 2016, and 2K have now taken the IP back in-house, which, to be honest with you, it seemed a bit strange to outsource in the first place. However, this one will not involve Ken Levine, who was the mastermind behind, 1 and 3, I believe, of the previous series. Yeah, thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's great that BioShock is coming back. It's a really beloved franchise. It's mad to think that we just haven't had one on this generation of consoles, and we won't do, because this is still going to take a couple of years. So, but yeah, given what Jason Schreier was saying about the fact that this game has been at least in the ether for a while, maybe we'll get it slightly sooner than we think that we will. And yeah, like, fantastic to get it back, and I wonder what they can do on the new platforms with it, basically.
Well, it sounds as if, and correct me if I'm wrong here, full disclosure, BioShock is one of the biggest blemishes in my gaming backlog. I've never played BioShock. However, it is definitely one that is at the top of my must-play list.
Absolutely,
I have to admit. But correct me if I'm wrong here. The first one was very survival orientated. However, the latter ones, or maybe Infinite, was a bit more first-person shootery. And it sounds as if this studio, the game was outsourced to, having previously worked on Call of Duty and Halo, would have indicated to me, at that time at least, they were looking for the game to be a first-person shooter. I wonder if, in actual fact, they've decided against that. Maybe going back to the roots. Yeah, I mean, maybe telling something in the kind of survival space. To me, maybe that makes it a bit more interesting as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, they've notoriously, like, really great blend of first-person shooting mechanics and story-driven stuff. I think, the older games, BioShock 1 and 2, were kind of darker and a bit tougher, I think, and that it really drew players in, and that's what all the kind of iconic imagery from the games is drawn from that. BioShock Infinite is the one that I've actually played the most. It was the last PS3 game I got before, and was playing before I bought a PS4, which I thought was like good but not incredible in any stretch. It had the building blocks of something really interesting there, and it felt like by opening it up slightly more, you could tell they were trying to do something interesting with that story and that franchise, but I don't know, it just didn't
quite come together.
It was just kind of light. I don't know, even thinking about it now, I'm just kind of like, it just kind of glided along, but I didn't really feel very much about it. So I think, taking it back to those roots would be really fantastic, and just getting something that's heavy and meaty and using the best of the like graphics that the new engines can produce, it's going to be surely like a really fucking stellar game.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope it's a reinvention of the franchise and not a blemish on it.
Yeah.
All right, news item number 3. Xbox is still planning a cheaper discless Xbox next generation, sources have told Kotaku. However, what does this mean for the industry, Lewis? What does it mean? Initially, it was rumoured that this idea had actually been canned by Xbox following their E3 presentation this year when it was announced that Scarlett would be, quotes, a family of consoles. Since then, there had been very little chat about having a cheaper console, but it seems as though that does still exist. So apparently there will be 2 consoles. The first is codenamed Anaconda. Apparently it'll be 4 or 5 times more powerful than the Xbox One X. So that is the, quotes, proper next-gen console. That is the one that will be competing with the PS5, effectively. The second console, codenamed Lockhart, will apparently be more in line with the PS4 Pro in terms of graphical power, which is actually a step back from the Xbox One X in terms of graphical power. However, it will have an SSD drive and it will have a much faster CPU. So although we're saying its graphical capabilities might not be that much more than a PS4 Pro, as a system, it's definitely going to be better, you know? So it will definitely have those improved frame rates and it'll definitely have like better loading times because of that SSD. Is it going to be 4K 60 frames per second? Probably not on a next-gen console, but it'll be passable. However, what does this mean for the industry is what I'm thinking about, because Xbox are not going to allow a game to come out on their system, third party or otherwise, that will not run on both these consoles. It's kind of death by the lowest common denominator, you know what I mean? So if the Anaconda and the PS5 are way up here and Lockhart's quite significantly beneath that, even by today's standards, in 5 years, when third parties are really trying to push that hardware, are they going to be limited? Are they going to be hamstrung by the fact that they have to make their games also work on Lockhart? So I'm thinking a wee bit down the line here. Yeah. I'm not sure how much I like this. I think it's a fantastic move for Xbox, though, I do have to say. Because if you look back on the kind of recent previous generations, or basically since PlayStation's been in the game, is normally the cheapest one wins, frankly. Apart from the PS2, but the reason that one was because it was just so much better than the rest of the field at that particular moment. But generally the cheapest one wins, and this will be the cheapest option of the next gen. So what I think will actually happen next gen is that Xbox will come out with a console that's even more expensive than the PS5, but will be absolutely killer. It will be all that and everything else. You know, it will be all singing, all dancing. The PS5 will probably be pretty damn close, but a wee bit less than Xbox, such as tradition.
Although it's not what's being said right now, but
it's not what's being said, but this is what I'm predicting. This is just pure speculation out loud at this moment. And then quite a lot beneath that, it sounds like maybe up to £100 cheaper per se, might be whatever the Lockhart edition is. And I think that might sell gangbusters. It might actually be the key to Xbox winning the next generation.
Never fear, Mark. Sony have always got it in hand.
I mean, the reality is that I'm going to buy a PlayStation. I've been a PlayStation boy my whole life. Of course you are, I love those exclusives. I am going to buy it. I mean, it would have to be a royal fuck up on PlayStation's part. So it's not really that so much. I'm not really concerned about winning or losing the console wars. Do you know what I mean? I think we're a wee bit past that, to be completely honest with you, particularly with things like crossplay being so prevalent now. So I will be buying it for the exclusives effectively. So it's not really about that for me. But if you're going by numbers and what will be perceived by the gaming press effectively as winning, if it's units shifted, if Xbox have a unit that is significantly cheaper than the other two, they're probably going to win.
I mean, there's a lot of caveats to be built into that, though, because
there are, and again, like fully speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like first and foremost, I don't believe that Microsoft would put that edition out at the same time as the core console. They never do. We always get split console generations now, right? Like we'll get the
so even the fact that Phil Spencer said on stage at E3 that this will be a family of consoles does not imply to you that they'll be coming out at the same time.
I don't think so. I think I mean that may be what they're trying to imply. I don't think that's how it will pan out, because I think that they would refer to the current swathe of Xbox consoles as a family of consoles as well. I think you'll get on launch day the PS5 and you'll get the Xbox Scarlet or whatever we're calling it.
The Anaconda one, the best one.
Yeah, like the main one, the proper, the central box of it all. And a wee while down the line, we'll probably see pro versions of those both 3 or 4 years down the line, as we did on this generation. And I think we'll see at least Xbox. They've already done a discless edition of the Xbox One X, right?
But you don't think it's going to be there on launch day?
No, I don't think so, because like you've said, they'll undercut their own sales a bit. As you always point out, and you're so right to always point out, hardware makers lose lose money on every unit that they shift, because that's how the industry works. So if you reduce your cost price for that console even further to the consumer, you're making even greater losses, presumably, unless you're really stripping down the hardware, which maybe they will.
Well, I think that is the point. And then what do? They sell it with a bundle with 3 months free of Game Pass. I mean, it'd be very easy to justify that to a parent, I would think.
Maybe, yeah.
This console is the cheapest, and you get 3 months of this enormous catalogue of games, and then after that it's actually only £10 a month, and you don't need to buy them anything.
Yeah, but
for a while until the new hotness.
That's the thing.
Along,
if it works out like that, and it all depends as well on the games that Xbox has in the pipeline, because, like you say, people want those exclusives on of course PlayStation.
Well, the thing is that I just wonder, just theoretically, if they do go away with it and they do, quotes, win the generation, I wonder if a lot of people just buy a PlayStation anyway for those exclusives. Yeah. It's worth having a PlayStation just to play those exclusives. Do you know what I mean? The next Spider-Man, the next God of War, the next Horizon, the next whatever Hideo Kojima's up to. Do you know what I mean? That's worthy of buying a console for me. I know a lot of people don't feel that way necessarily, but I would definitely buy a console for that without a shadow of a doubt. Totally. They're some of the best games of this generation, and they're exclusive to PlayStation. And that's what they can hang their hat on.
A lot of the same reasons that people bought a Switch, same reasons we bought a Switch. We both really wanted. We never played Nintendo games much before. We really wanted to play Breath of the Wild.
We both were. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah. That is what sold that console.
Exactly, and we bought it. And obviously a PS5 is going to be more expensive.
Ever since.
Yeah. But if it transpires that Xbox with Game Pass is the natural way to play third-party games because it's cheaper and easier, fair enough, but people will still want a PlayStation to play those exclusives as they do want a Nintendo just now. And if Sony can get exclusives and indies being the main thing that people want on their platform, they'll still sell well. That's fine.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
It certainly
is. This next generation will be really, really interesting. Yeah. I think it will be the most interesting one in quite a long period of time, actually.
Quite different from before.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that Microsoft are just going to hang their hat on their services. And in reality, it looks as if that's very much coming to PC as well. So if all your Xbox games are also available on PC, that's another thing to factor in, because if I want to go and play an Xbox game, I can do that theoretically, and if I've got xCloud as well, I can do that on my phone. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's all very interesting. It's very interesting. I'm very interested in the console wars now. All this next gen leaks and stuff like that. It's got me feeling good. It's got me tingling. All right, and finishing off with a couple of shout outs. Actually, quite a few shout outs. We're trying to cut the news down because topic of the week is a doozy this week, ladies and gentlemen. However, shout out number 1: Star Wars Loose is going to show off their new trailer in Fortnite.
Yeah, so there's a brand new clip actually from Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, which is going to make its international premiere in the Risky Reels section of Fortnite's map, which is completely insane, it seems to me.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. It just shows the power of that property.
Absolutely.
Now, you know?
And apparently it's going to be introduced by J.J. Abrams, like live on the screen in Risky Reels. So huge stuff. This is all happening on Saturday. I think it's at 7 o'clock British time if you're over on this side of the Atlantic, 11 a.m. over on the other side. So yeah, keep an eye. I mean, you'll know. I think if you go onto Fortnite on Saturday, you're going to know about this basically.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure you would.
And apparently Fortnite have already confirmed that they're making a big statement at the Game Awards, which is just 2 days prior to this being shown off, and there is a lot of rumour that there's some much bigger Star Wars crossover coming to the game. So if you like Star Wars, if you like Fortnite, you got to be there on Thursday at the Game Awards, and you got to be watching on Saturday to see this new clip.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested in this. This kind of cross-media promotion is insane. Yeah. It's not anything that we've ever seen before.
No, well, absolutely Fortnite have already been working well with Disney because they saw these Marvel crossovers before.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
I mean, Star Wars is the biggest property in media, basically, right? So
yeah, I mean, I would have thought. I mean, Marvel's got to be pushing it these days, to be honest with you, but yeah, it's huge. Yes. It's huge. All right, shout out number 2. The Final Fantasy VII Remake, Lewis, has been listed as a PS4 timed exclusive, timed until March the 3rd, 2021. I think the initial thoughts way back, or certainly my initial thoughts, were that this was a full PlayStation exclusive. However, there was rumblings around that this, in fact, wasn't the case, and I think as we got closer and closer to this, well, this all emerged from a leak, to be honest. I think that everyone was very much under the impression that it was probably coming to the other consoles at some point. So Xbox fans, PC fans, almost undoubtedly you'll be able to play it on your system of choice. Well, a year after, I suppose, it comes out. So if it gets a good reception, there's something to look forward to. If it's rubbish, then I wouldn't worry about it. Shout out number 3, the new Rocket League Blueprint system. This was the system implemented by Psyonix to get rid of their loot boxes. It has not been received well, Lewis. It has not been received well. I'm not going to claim to know a hell of a lot about the loot box system in Rocket League. I did actually play Rocket League for a pretty long amount of time. I really was on the beta at one point. Yeah, I got myself a wee beta key. However, it seems that in the previous system, if you got these keys in-game and you got 20 keys, you could roll the dice and you would get 20 items. However, now it seems to be for the price of 20 keys, you have to spend that on one item. Also, another odd part to all this is that a lot of these items have been in the game for like a long period of time and are traded among the players for like pennies, for like absolutely nothing. But for the honour of buying it off of Psyonix, it's like 10 times more expensive.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely bizarre. I mean, they have to have understood their own internal economy. To be clear, like, getting rid of the loot boxes, superb. And it's been a hot minute since we've spoken about loot boxes. It feels as if we're coming home. But that's great, as long as you understand that these things aren't worth 15 quid, like, just as one item. And I think that's what was getting banded around. I think it was between $10 and $15, I think is what I read, really, for, like, a new limited edition car, a new featured car in the game. So that's literally 15 quid for a cluster of pixels that look like, I don't know, like the Batmobile or something, like who knows. And I'm just thinking, no, you're fucking this up, no. No, this is supposed to be a great moment. This is supposed to be you getting rid of the loot boxes, and it was all supposed to be amazing. This wasn't supposed to be you putting up the most expensive store in the world.
It was just never going to work out totally in the players' favour, you know, getting rid of these systems that have absolutely benefited the publishers for a long time now. But yeah, not ideal that people are still having to pay over the odds for essentially cosmetic items.
Not essentially cosmetic items.
Only
cosmetic items. Yeah, I really wanted this to go well. And actually, I really believe in Psyonix. Like, I think Psyonix are a good dev studio. I think that they'll turn this around. I think that they'll do the right thing. But kind of stumbled at the first hurdle here, really. Yeah. For something that could have been really, really great. You know?
Let's not pile on people who are trying to change loot boxes. Yeah, let's give them some time.
Yeah. Let's not deter them from changing loot boxes. All right, shout out number 4. The PS4 version of Minecraft is getting the Bedrock Edition update on December the 10th, Lewis. Why is this important? Because it enables crossplay. Yay! Scream the crowd. Basically, the dam is burst here, surely, hasn't it? You know, I never played Minecraft. I totally missed all of that when that was all booming. Honestly, I have very little interest in Minecraft, but I just love that more and more big games like this are just forcing Sony effectively to accept crossplay. And I just think it's just good. It's good for gamers. It's good for gamers everywhere. Thumbs up. And final shout out number 5. Elder Scrolls Legends appears to be being shut down. Bit of a less cheery story. Don't know why I chose to finish on this one, but there you go. The community manager on a Reddit post has come out and said that all new content for the game and any that was in development is now on hold for the foreseeable future. The game does, however, remain online. However, any new expansions or other future content will no longer be under active development. I mean, if this isn't writing on the wall, I don't know what is. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The game remains online and will be maintained for now, but for how long?
Yeah,
for how long?
If you're a
year, maybe?
If you're a big fan of this, start making your peace with it now, because it's not long for this world.
Yeah, I would say so. So Elder Scrolls Legend was supposed to be their competitor to Hearthstone. Yeah. It's like that, an Elder Scrolls based card game, but I don't know, not a lot of wins for Bethesda these days.
Not anymore.
It feels like another bad loss for them. God, I hope Doom Eternal's good. I really, really hope Doom Eternal's good. All right, Liz, time for a beer, and then we'll be back with Topic of the Week. And we are back with Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week this week is Nintendo's Indies World and PlayStation's State of Play. A two for Liz. A two for Topic of the Week this week. Couple of dry weeks, not that much news, then all the birthdays come at once. Right, okay, so we'll start things off with the Indies World. This was Nintendo's Indies Direct, effectively. They kicked things off with Sports Story. This was a successor to Golf Story, which actually was really, really well received at the time.
Hugely well received, yeah.
I remember a lot of people were like really into it. This seems to be adding, well, tennis mechanics seems to be the main thing, but as well, it looked like a lot of kind of different wee puzzles and things like that within the game, as well as golf. So it's now called Sports Story instead of Golf Story. So there we go, and that's coming in mid-2020. Next up was Streets of Rage 4. This looks exactly like Streets of Rage 4. It looks like exactly the game that you would expect it to be, which, to be honest with you, I think is doing it right, probably. Apparently this is coming in the first half of 2020, and again, it looks like Streets of Rage 4. I'm actually weirdly interested.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It's weird. It's also weird to me that back in the day, Streets of Rage 4 was like a headline game, and it's now in an indie showcase for Nintendo.
Yeah, it's not even the headline game in that showcase.
It's not even the headline game in that showcase. showcase, exactly. But yeah, I'm kind of weirdly interested in this.
So that's first half of 2020.
And that's coming the first half of 2020. Next up was Gleamlight. This game looked a lot to me like Hollow Knight, and in fact, you said it looked so much like you to Hollow Knight that it was basically a rip-off. They seem to be pushing the fact that it had no UI. I don't really know why that's...
Strange thing to highlight.
I don't really know why that matters particularly. Yeah. But it's coming in early 2020. To me, it looked pretty interesting. I don't know if it was because I was getting that Hollow Knight vibe off it as well. Hollow Knight, of course, one of the greatest games ever made. And they seem to be in this sort of stained glass looking world. Yeah. I don't know. I thought you seem to be quite negative on it.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, I was laughing about that it is very Hollow Knight. Like, it's even the sound design, as you can hear the kind of sword slashing. Yeah, it's the same. But yeah,
as mostly as those other sword sounds.
No, but it's just like it's the same noise. But it's like, you know, mysterious story, kind of interesting art style, game world. Yeah, it looks cool. But yeah, I just thought it was really funny that when I watched that, I just went, Mark will be into this because it looks like Hollow Knight.
And you weren't wrong. Next up was Bake and Switch. This was an odd looking game. It was a party game, effectively. Yeah. It was a couch co-op / party brawler. I think it's kind of going for kind of Overcooked vibes to me. Yep. But I don't know, like there seemed to be a lot happening on screen that wasn't really explained terribly well.
Nope.
It's coming in summer 2020. I don't know. It caught my eye though, I've got to say, considering how when we played Overcooked, how much I loved that.
Yeah.
Wii games like this, I'm always thinking, I wonder if that'd be good to play with us.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Next up was Super Mash.
Yeah, this was the first one that really grabbed me from the showcase. So this is, as they described it, a love letter to games set in a game shop. And essentially, like, the interesting thing about this is that within the game, you essentially genre smash two different types of games. So the one that they showed, they showed all sorts of different,
loads of stuff.
Yeah, different combinations. But like they highlighted at one point, like you might have an RPG meets a platformer, and the game seemingly is generating that itself, so it will create a new...
Apparently, I've written down here, it's procedurally generated.
Yeah, so it's creating new games every time that you do this, and you can get all sorts of madcap creations.
I'm sure it'll be very much this, like if you do a JRPG and like, as you said, like a platformer or something like that, I'm sure that the skin over that will be very, very similar.
Yeah.
It may just be a different level.
Yeah, possibly so, absolutely. I think that's the thing for me with this. It's just like, it's a really interesting idea. It's nice to see something that's intertextual, talking about games within games. The thing as well that it showed was that I was totally expecting these would all be like fairly rudimentary 2D pixel art games, but they show 3D graphics within it as well. And
there was one that looked exactly like The Sims.
Yeah, exactly. And so you just go like, I'm just really interested to see what this could do. It might be a total flop, might not live up to what it sounds like it could do, but if it works, it could be really cool.
I always like indies that explore interesting ideas, and I think this is an interesting idea. That is coming in May 2020. Next up was the Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, Lewis.
It was indeed, yeah. Again, another game that actually came out originally in 2014, I think, so it's just coming to Switch now, I think today, actually. It
was indeed a shadow drop.
Yeah, and this totally passed us by. I don't think either of us knew this game from before.
I never heard of this game. I saw that trailer and I thought, hello.
Looks interesting, right? Yeah. It's like a first-person puzzler. It really reminded me of The Witness, which is one of my all-time favourite games, definitely one of my favourite puzzle games. So yeah, that caught my interest. I might go and check it out if it's not like too pricey. I would like to get a wee shot of it first. Yeah. But
over 120 puzzles, apparently.
Yeah.
Next up was Sail Forth. This was a naval exploration game, also procedurally generated. Didn't look like it was from me. Looks as if it was obviously trying to play on the Black Flag ship mechanics from Assassin's Creed. Yeah. If that's something that interests you, it's coming out in 2020. Keep an eye out for it. Next up was Dauntless. They mentioned a new expansion called Storm Chasers. What's the situation with that?
So I have no idea. Like, I was totally baffled as well. They mentioned that expansion, but the game has not come to Switch yet. So this is it.
No, the game comes today.
Yeah, this was it. This is what they were advertising. But they mentioned this expansion, and they never clarified at all if that is also coming today. So I have no idea if it is or not.
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre. However, Dauntless is on Switch now. Yeah. And again, talking about crossplay, Dauntless, as they advertised in the trailer, were massive pioneers actually, and were one of the first games to be truly cross-play, truly cross-progression, across all platforms, and thumbs up to them for that. And the game looks great. I mean, it looks like it's free to play
Monster Hunter
world. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Next up was Murder by Numbers. This looked weird, Lewis.
Yeah, it did.
I didn't really know what was happening with the puzzles in this. It looked like mad Sudoku. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Sudoku, ladies and gentlemen. Don't want to be too negative about the game, I suppose. But apparently it's the composer behind the Phoenix Wright games done the music, and the character design was done by the same people as Hatful Boyfriend, which is one of the weirdest games that is possible ever to exist. It's a murder mystery that looks a bit like a dating sim / visual novel. It's coming early 2020. If any of what I said sounds interesting to you, keep an eye out for it. It was a truly bizarre thing. Next up, Lewis, was Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Now, me and you are big fans of Oddworld. We love all the Oddworld games. However, this was one that I think passed us both by.
Definitely did, yeah.
An HD version of it is coming to the Switch in January 2020. What did you think about this?
My first reaction was total. I almost gasped just to see the name come up.
I was the same.
Like you said, it's one of these games that kind of we missed, and it's not in the same vein as the original Oddworld games. It's like a first person shooter, basically.
Yeah. Third person.
Sorry, yeah, third person shooter. But I don't know. Like, I was looking at it, just going like, oh, I don't know if it's going to be any good anymore. Like, I get the feeling it's probably. I think it's going to feel very dated, basically. I
bet it does, and I bet that I'll buy it anyway. That's basically my feelings about it. God, I love Oddworld. Next up was Skateboard. This is the game where you play as a tiny little bird on a finger skateboard, doing mad tricks on, I don't know, straws and shit. It looks weird and amazing, and I think that if you're someone who liked Tony Hawk or Skate or any of those things, because you're obviously not getting a new Tony Hawk anytime soon, although there was rumblings about that, but never say never. But I think you should check this out, because above anything else, it looks absolutely wild, and I'm quite glad that this game exists, even if I don't play it.
Yeah.
Apparently it's coming in late 2020. Next up was a game called Liberated, which really caught my eye because it looks as if you were kind of playing through a comic book, effectively. We were shown dialogue options and stealth sections and gunplay as well within this odd comic book setting. And by you play a comic book, I mean there's literal pages of a comic book. It's all done in black and white as well.
Yeah.
It was kind of giving me a bit of Limbo vibes, actually, talking about that the other week. Apparently it's set in a cyberpunk dystopia where you're always online.
Well, there you go.
Stop me if that sounds familiar. However, I thought it looked really interesting. It's coming in 2020, as everything I think in this.
Yeah. I think it's also a timed exclusive for the Switch. So So
see, again, this is something that was catching my eye as well. That they were mentioning timed exclusives, which I don't think I ever remember Nintendo doing before.
No, I'm not sure either. Yeah, it really stuck out to me, and
it really stuck out to me as well.
Liberated, just to add to that, I think really one of the best looking games in this showcase. It
looks really interesting,
really stylish, really cool.
Really did.
Yeah, so
totally
check it out.
Totally agree. Next up was Boyfriend Dungeon. This is a dungeon crawler / dating sim where your hunky boyfriend turns into a weapon. Do you like that?
Just the word weapon in Scotland has got so many added meanings. Really good.
Anyway, that is coming in 2020. Would you like to add your part about the 3D Rumble list?
No. Move on from Boyfriend Dungeon. We've all been there.
Next up was Dreamscaper.
Dreamscaper, yeah, absolutely. This was another one that kind of caught my eye. Not necessarily the kind of game that I would definitely go for. It pointed out that it's a brawler, a top-down shooter, and a dungeon crawler all in one go. I mean, it's like referencing like depression and using the kind of idea of like nightmare creatures to
playing with some heavy themes.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems like every time your character, like you have interactions in the real world, and they then affect what happens when you go to sleep and you go into these kind of nightmare scenarios, and you have to use kind of skills and powers and stuff that you've learned in the waking world. But I think as well, I couldn't tell if it was roguelike in that sense that each time you go to sleep,
procedurally generated.
Is it procedurally
it's
generated?
Procedurally generated. I'm not sure if the game itself is a roguelike.
Yeah. So that each dungeon is new every time you go to sleep. So it could be something really interesting. Another timed exclusive for the Switch. One to keep an eye on. Like, it didn't totally set me alight, but I was watching it thinking interesting. So yeah,
interesting, absolutely. And a lot of these indie games, this is what we'll say about indie games, is that they are very hit and miss. Something can look amazing and be terrible. Something can look terrible and be amazing. That is almost the nature of the beast when it comes to indie games. So a lot of these things, if we're saying that we're interested in it, that is all that it is. We're literally just marking our interest in it, so that if another trailer comes up, then we pay attention. Next up was The Survivalist. This was set in the Escapist universe. Not a game that I was familiar with, but I know that was pretty pretty popular. There was a lot of kind of crafting and base building, and all this was to do with like surviving on a desert island that you washed up upon. It was describing itself as a co-op survival sandbox game. Co-op seems to be either offline or online, which is good. Also procedurally generated, such as the keyword for indies these days, it seems to be. And you can train monkeys to do your bidding, so a thumbs up there. And finally, the crescendo was Axiom Verge 2. Now, Axiom Verge is not a game that I have played, and I don't believe you've played it either.
No, absolutely not, no.
However, due to my deep-seated love for Hollow Knight, when I was looking up other games to play that were kind of like Hollow Knight, this kept on coming up again and again and again and again. And I will tell you, Lewis, that I own 2 copies of this game digitally that I have never played. Jesus. So yeah, it's definitely high up on my to-play list. And now that I know that the next one, Axiom Verge 2, is coming in autumn 2020, I will need to play the first one before then. So this is in the same vein as Hollow Knight. Metroidvania, looks pretty difficult. I'm totally in for it. What did you think?
I don't know the first game at all, really. It's not something that's crossed my path. So I thought it looked interesting. It reminded me so much of Super Metroid that we were playing not that long ago. So it caught my interest for sure, but it sounds like I need to see the 2 versions that you've already bought to kind of get a better sense of it, yeah.
All right, that's it for the Indies world. Moving on to PlayStation's State of Play. And we will kick things off, as they did, with Untitled Goose Game, Lewis.
Yes.
One of your favourites.
Absolutely,
coming to the PlayStation 4.
Honk, indeed. That game is coming to PS4 a week from now, on December 17th.
Yeah, really soon. Really soon.
I mean, I don't really know why it wasn't ported at the same time, really. Like, it was a Switch exclusive, or like a Switch and Steam exclusive for a little while. But as I've said before, if you listen to me when I originally played it, it's great. It's good fun. If you've seen the memes and you're not that much more interested in the game, like, don't bother, pretty much. But if it's like a really good fun little game to play. If it's not too expensive, definitely chuck some money their way. House made, a really interesting game. So it's cool that it's coming to PlayStation, basically.
Do you think it's better suited to Switch?
I don't think it matters too much. Like, I never played it handheld. It works either way. There's nothing to it, really. Like, it's just, I mean...
It's very, very short for the money. That I suppose, is the only warning.
Exactly. That is the warning. Absolutely.
Fair enough. Next up was Spellbreak. This is a magic-based battle royale game, and apparently it has RPG elements as well. The kind of voiceover woman was saying. It looked absolutely fucking wild. I thought that this looked really, really interesting. I was shocked at how interesting I was in this. If you'd told me, oh, here's a battle royale game where you cast spells on one another, I'd be thinking, that sounds absolutely bollocks. Take that away from me immediately. But it looked really interesting. I don't know, what were your thoughts on this?
Totally the same. I thought it looked really fun. Like, so much more movement in it than a lot of battle royale games have. There was a lot happening on the screen. There's just constant, like, unlike Fortnite or PUBG or whatever, where there's a lot of stopping and watching the horizon and seeing what's moving and building little spaces. This was just like, tear in here,
playing like cowards,
throw some fire. Yeah. Turn this guy in, shoot something at this person. Yeah, I thought it looked just tons of fun, and just a nice art style as well. Like, we should say, even though it's spell based, it's not like really high fantasy kind of look about it particularly.
No, it doesn't. I mean, to be honest with you, it kind of looks like
every other
Fortnite did a medieval mod. Yeah. Next up was Dreams, Lewis. Dreams.
Yeah, at last we have a release date for Dreams. This has been so long in the making.
God. It's crazy as well. Like, all this trailer was really a montage of the games that were made in Dreams,
and some of them look amazing.
Some of them look better than the fucking games that were shown in the State of Play.
Yeah, exactly.
They look incredible.
Yeah. So this is, if you don't know anything about this, just go and look it up. Dreams is like a new kind of creation suite for making games and sharing games, and it's a game. It's truly a game for making games. Yeah.
Or that's how they're going to try and market it. But it's essentially a beginner's guide to a game engine.
Yeah.
Effectively, you can make anything in it.
Totally.
It's unbelievable. I'm very sad that I don't think that this is going to sell very well, and it's coming right at the end of the generation, which I really think is a bit of a misstep from PlayStation, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
My only note on this is I cannot believe how good some of these games are.
They just look so interesting. Like, there's so much going on. There's so much variety there. Check that out. Check out the trailer. They're also doing a whole kind of best of awards of the games that have been made in the early access portion so far. So keep an eye on Dreams. It's coming on February 14th, 2020. So between now and then, you've got some time to look into this and just get really excited about it. I mean, I agree, man. It could totally flop, but it could also
really
be. I
think that it's going to flop.
I think for
it's such a shame.
The gaming community and for gaming journalists and all that, there's going to be so much interest in what that game can do. So yeah, keep an eye out for it.
After that was Super Liminal, Lewis.
Yeah, and the trailer had a little Scottish voiceover, which was very nice.
Always lovely to hear the beautiful Scottish accent.
Yeah, this is already out on other platforms, but it's coming to PlayStation basically next year in 2020. I don't think they actually gave a proper date for it. I just think
they just said next year.
Yeah, I just think it looks really cool. Like, you've spoken about it before on the show. I think we've spoken about it a fair bit.
Yeah, I think it was shown at a kind of funny showcase.
Yeah, it was like, it's been kind of on the horizon for a long time. I just like, the trailer just reminded me of Portal and that kind of sense of humour and those kinds of like physics-based puzzles, and I just don't know too much about it beyond that, but watching that trailer I was like, yeah, I can definitely see myself playing that.
I must admit, I remain interested in it. I'm just conscious that it kind of reviewed pretty badly, but
yeah, I think
I can really see me picking that up
definitely
at some point. It's just a good idea. It's just, and I just love to see indie games explore good ideas, and I think that is what that team are doing. Next up was a VR game called Paper Beasts, which is literally a world inhabited by paper animals, which all look a bit origami.
Yeah. You were freaked out by this, right?
Man, they moved weird. I didn't like how they moved. Man, it was freaking me out. No. Apparently the game will involve kind of environmental puzzle solving. It looks a bit dream state-y, kind of surreal in nature. It's coming in the first quarter of 2020. If any of that sounds interesting to you, go and check it out, but those animals move fucking weird, man. After that was Kingdom Hearts DLC Remind. Spell RE:mind, sticking with a really annoying naming conventions, which is no naming convention at all. Honestly, it looks exactly like more Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
What I would say that was interesting about this is that there was no Disney characters.
No Disney whatsoever.
No Disney characters whatsoever in the trailer. And we know that Kingdom Hearts is going to continue. However, we also know that Disney won't be involved in whatever world they choose to explore next. So I wonder if this DLC is perhaps a bridge to whatever they're going on to next. Kingdom Hearts, for me, really has never done it for me. I know that you're the same, Lewis. Yeah. Was never a big Disney guy. As much as I love JRPGs, this one definitely wasn't for me. However, if you like Kingdom Hearts, I'm sure you love Kingdom Hearts because there seems to be no in between. Yeah. And the DLC is coming on January the 23rd, so you can look forward to that. Next up was Predator Hunting Grounds. This is coming on April the 24th. They showed that you could change the kind of loadout of your Predator, change the armor types, and change the guns, and you can play as Lady Predator.
Oh, I don't think I caught that.
No, you can play as a female Predator.
Very good. Yeah, as you should be able to. Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, it was just cool. We got a proper bit of gameplay in this trailer, so if you've ever shown any interest in this game, go and check that out as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that was first shown at E3. Was it just E3 there?
I think
was
so,
it?
just there. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool, interesting looking isometric shooter made by the guys who made Friday the 13th, which had a really horrible end to what was a very, very good and well received game. But I'm glad that those guys have landed on their feet, and I really hope this game does well for them. Next up was Babylon's Fall. This from Square Enix and Platinum Games, first shown at E3, not this year, but the year before, as I believe just a title card. Like, really, nothing at all to it. It's set in a medieval sort of fantasy world. It's a Platinum Games game, and therefore the combat is exactly like the Platinum Games combat. This time the skin, as I said, is a medieval kind of fantasy setting, and it looks awesome. Definitely looks like something I will be buying because I buy them all.
I know, God, you just lap this stuff up. It's the same game every time.
It's great. I love it. Like that combat, that style of combat. I just love it. I just love it so much. Like, I don't even get deep into the combos or anything like that. I just find like a couple of combos that work for me and then just spam them for the whole game, and it's just great fun.
Fair enough.
I don't know why I don't like DMC, but I just prefer Platinum Games so much. Apparently there's going to be a Bayonetta HD remake at some point very soon as well. I'm sure that got announced. So yeah, look out for that. God, I love Platinum Games. They're so good. Next up was Lewis. It was the big one.
This was it, yeah.
It was the big one. It was Project Resistance. Haha, we faked you out. It was actually Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Yeah.
So this announcement was basically that Resident Evil 3 Remake is going to be the campaign for Project Resistance. I mean, those sly bastards.
It was such a well-done trailer.
I loved it. I fucking loved it.
As I was watching along and taking notes for this, and suddenly, they said at the start, yeah, we're doing the campaign reveal for Project Resistance, and
I immediately thought, what is this nonsense?
I know, exactly.
I was like, oh my God, what campaign are they going to shoehorn into
this?
And it's bloody Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yeah, it's the first moment you see Jill Valentine, or they say her name, and I was like, oh, it's Jill Valentine. I wonder if this is going to be like a little bridge between these two games. And then you saw the other guy.
I was totally the same. Yeah. I thought, it couldn't possibly be the whole game as the campaign, but it is. The whole Resident Evil 3 remake is in fact the campaign of Project Resistance, or more to the point, is that Project Resistance Persons is the online portion of Resident
Absolutely,
Evil 3 Remake.
And so that's coming, as they also announced, on April the 3rd, 2020.
Yeah, just in a nice clean window there. Nothing else interesting happening around about there. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to play that game. Yeah, I really thought this was a stroke of genius, because to be honest with you, I thought when they announced Project Resistance, and then it was all these rumours about Resident Evil 3 Remake started coming out, I was thinking, oh god, that must be quite a way down the road, because they've still got this Project Resistance thing to come. But to know that they're coming out so soon is very, very exciting, to be honest. I'm very happy about this. After that, we got a nice little message from Ken Kutaragi, quotes the father of PlayStation, this coming off the back of the 25th anniversary of PlayStation. Very nice message, but Lewis was uninterested in it, basically.
Just my notes that I sent to Mark just says fuck all already. Because, I mean, it was nice. He just thanked the fans and the developers.
He was
a
very lovely man, and I won't have you say a bad word against him, Lewis.
Can't believe you set me up like that.
And last of all, closing out the presentation was Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes, it lives. Finally, we see something from this game, which has gone very dark for quite a long time. Not since E3 2018, is it? We've not seen anything from this game, pretty much.
Oh, I think you may be right.
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I was getting quite worried about this game. So if this game was absent from this, I would be quite seriously concerned.
Yeah.
However, I'm very, very glad that it was there, despite the fact that it being there was weird.
Yeah, it was. So this was the kind of, and one more thing, and it was essentially about a 9-second sliver of a cinematic. Didn't say anything, didn't do anything, but they basically said at the end of that the rest of the trailer is going to be shown at the Game Awards on Thursday. So
yes. So when this podcast comes out, ladies and gentlemen, the Game Awards will be that very night.
Yeah,
that very night, which is incredibly inconsiderate towards me and Lewis, because our podcast will have missed it entirely.
Oh, and if you are listening in the UK, obviously this podcast drops on the same day as the general election, and we just wanted to say, no matter what you're going to do, how you think or what you believe in, make sure and use your vote if you have registered to vote. It's super important, and yeah, just go and do that. It's important.
Yes, definitely in times like these,
yes,
I would say. But for now, I'd like to remind everyone you can find PlayerStoo on all the social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayerStoo.com. That's PlayerStoo.com. And if you like anything that you've heard here, please consider going and giving us 5 stars. It really does mean a lot. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show, and thank you so much to anyone that's already done that. I cannot emphasize enough how big a difference that makes. There's a reason that every podcast that you listen to asks you to go and do this. It really does make a difference. And if you could do that for us, we'd be so grateful. Thank you. I'd also like to remind everyone that our play-along game for December is Inside. This following on from our discussion of Limbo. Inside being by Playdead, the same studio. And I'm very excited to get stuck back into that game as well, as much as I was to get stuck back into Limbo last month. I must admit, replaying Limbo has just made me want to play Inside even more. So if you played along with us and played Limbo, and if you in any way enjoyed it, you will definitely enjoy Inside. It's a very similar, but in many ways quite different experience. It's fantastic though. It's super good.
Good stuff.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. See you later.
Thanks.